Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Gridiron Gurus. My name is Luke, and joining with me, as always, is
Ryan Green.
Today, we're doing our best and worst free agency classes.
Yeah.
We got about 3.5 weeks, 4 weeks before the draft starts.
Mm-hmm.
So you
Quite
want to
literally in a month, like on
April
it's
a month.
24th,
It's a month to the day,
Yeah.
but it's weird how the months are. But it's 7/24. It's 4 weeks and 3 days from today. So
Yep.
we're getting there.
We are, dude.
And then everyone's gonna be pissed off at their drafts or really happy, and then everyone's gonna be wrong because that's how everybody is with the draft normally.
Yeah.
But we got best and worst free agency classes today.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to start best or worst?
Let's start off on.
And also, we're gonna start from we're going 5 teams.
Mm-hmm.
We'll overlap on some. So
yeah,
but 5 up to 1 is how we'll start, and we'll just alternate.
Yeah. I think we should start off on a sour note, but then look for hopeful, a little hopefulness going into the draft.
That way we can end on the best.
So. Exactly.
I'll start out with the worst.
Yeah.
My worst I put was the Titans.
Okay. I had them as my third.
Worst or best? Or
third worst.
Third
worst.
Yeah,
no.
They signed. Oh my gosh, I don't have the names.
Johnny Hecker and Cody Barton, and they re-signed Sebastian Joseph Day, and then also the tackle Dan Moore.
Dan Moore is one of the reasons that this is a bad class.
Yeah.
I mean, one they didn't do a lot. I like the Kevin Zeiler signing. We've mentioned that on the mock draft, but I like the Kevin Zeiler signing. It's a 1-year deal. I don't like the Dan Moore signing. I mean, you were signed him for it's 4 years, 82.
Yes, 4 years, 82.
That is a crazy amount for an offensive tackle who is, quite frankly, not good. And he wasn't it's not this is an average tackle that you're overpaying. He was not good on the Steelers last year. He was one of the worst rated tackles.
Yeah.
In one-on-one scenarios. Maybe you're we can fix him, and allow it. You're okay, we can slide J.C. Latham over, which I like.
Just get Callahan with them,
But still, I don't like overpaying for a player like that, and I just don't think you did enough. Other the rest of your roster, where I'm okay, cool. Zeitler, you got a 1-year deal on an old guard, sure. But the rest of free agency didn't really move me. I still think they have major hole at edge, and the problem is they can they can address edge and they can just take one in round 1. They can't because they have to take a quarterback.
Because they haven't made any moves.
They didn't make any moves at quarterback either.
Unless they're the outside shot of taking Aaron Rodgers because he has a house in Nashville.
I still wouldn't like that.
I still wouldn't like it either, but that's the only way that you don't take Ward, or if you really, really like a quarterback that's not Ward and you're I can get him a second round, which you shouldn't do that. But like I said, the reason why I had him at 3 was because I really like the Sebastian Joseph Day signing. I really like him. Obviously, like I said, I think the
third DT.
Yeah, I think, like I said, as far as depth, because the other ones are either there's no depth or just some baffling moves. Like I said, Dan Moore, I think obviously overpay, but I think that as far as the moves you're going to make, you have the money to spend, so I think that's fine. But at the same exact time, you could have definitely gotten a better tackle. So unless like you said, that you feel like you can just fix them, then fine. But yeah, they got Cody Barton as well, good linebacker from Denver. Doesn't really move me that much. And then Johnny Hecker, Carolina Panthers punter. He's kind of fallen off the last couple of years, but I still really like him. So he's still a solid punter. Like I said, he's still 34, 33. He's getting up there in age. But yeah, I had them as number 3 D plus in my estimation, and also Xavier Woods doesn't move me either.
Who was your 5th worst class?
My 5th worst.
That's how I started. I didn't have the Titans in my worst class.
Oh, okay.
We're going 5 up.
Yeah. Sorry.
So that were my 5th worst class, not my worst class.
Okay. Yeah. So they were my 3rd worst.
So they were worse for you than they were for me.
Yes.
Who was your 5th?
My 5th was the Seahawks, mainly because of the fact I am starting to get it. I'm starting to still visualize it. It's still I am just not loving the fact that you got rid of certain players, but then you overpaid for others. Like, for instance, okay, I love the re-signing of Ernest Jones and also Jaron Reed. I love those re-signings. They're great moves. Everything else, I'm either indifferent on or I absolutely hate. Like, I think that DeMarcus Lawrence can bounce back, but he's still over 30. He's still coming off an injury. And it wasn't really something that you desperately needed. Like, I don't think you needed like a edge rusher of DeMarcus Lawrence as far as like his pay grade, because you pretty much have invested in that. So like you could have gotten a veteran, but not his price. And then also the fact that, like, yes, you were able to trade DK and you release Lockett for cap reasons, but that leaves you with JSN, who absolutely love, absolute stud. But now you have to really go for wide receiver in the draft because you didn't really address it in free agency. And the fact that you're replacing
Cooper Kupp.
They did Cooper Kupp,
but it's kind of the one problem I have with Cooper Kupp is, like, one, he's been hurt, but also it's a very repetitive thing that I feel like he's just going to be eating into what JSN does best.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, that's the reason why, like, I'm indifferent, because like you didn't really.
Who's the field stretcher?
That's what I'm saying. You're going to have to get your wide receiver 3 to be 2, because, like I said, who knows if Cooper Kupp is going to be healthy? Like, we both think he's great, but like he's still also very, very injured.
But also, like, the thing, like Sam Darnold, I'm fine with that signing. If you want to, it's a lateral thing to Geno. I get it, because you get a pick for Geno. You're going to probably pay him about what their Raiders are going to have to extend Geno for. But the problem I have with the receiving corps, the best thing Sam Darnold did last year was the deep ball. Yeah. You don't have really a deep ball there. Like, I thought he would have picked. Like, I get DK wanted out. He would have felt awesome with DK.
Exactly. No, and then the fact too is, like, you know what you have with Geno behind this offensive line. Now, obviously, you're going to invest in it, especially in the draft. Hopefully,
health gets better,
and like you're hoping that, like, everybody stays together. But like, you saw how Sam Darnold was with 2 amazing weapons while having subpar offensive line play when Darisaw went down, when there's the other reshufflings on the offensive line. Like, you saw the problems that came with Sam Darnold. And so also against the Rams, no less. Like, you're going to play the Rams twice. So it's not that I think it's going to be an absolutely awful sign. Like I said, I still think like they're my 5th one, but like, I can kind of see the vision, but I'm just not on board just yet. And like, hopefully it works out for the Seahawks and they look amazing. And heck, we said the same thing when they traded Russell Wilson. Like, what are you doing? We have no idea what you're doing. And then it worked out for them. But at the same time, it's in a division that could be very, very competitive. You are probably going to be looked at as the worst team of the division, because the Cardinals are 49ers are still like holding on, and we'll get into them a little bit later, but they're still trying to hold on to their Super Bowl window. But
so I didn't have the Seahawks. I would have had them in like 6 or something, because my 4th. So you had the Titans at 3. Mm-hmm. You had the Seahawks at 5. My 4 is the Cowboys.
Oh,
because they didn't do anything. Again, I mean, they signed a bunch of linebackers, but like, the problem I had is they have a lot of cap space this season, or they have a good amount of cap space, and they didn't do it. Like, I get you have to pay
Micah Parsons,
but like, this team, they haven't signed any free agents in forever. Like, they haven't signed a big free agent
since Greg Hardy.
Yeah, for like 10 years. And like, you can build your team other ways, but also they're not drafting like incredibly well, and they have a lot of holes in this team. And you have some cap space. I put them on here because they didn't do anything.
Yeah,
of note. Like, I signed a couple depth linebackers to where local linebackers not like the biggest need in the world for them, but still, like, they got Javonte Williams. That doesn't move me. He was bad. Like, he was really, really bad last year for the Broncos. Like, the Broncos would have gotten better if they put anybody besides Javonte Williams there, pretty much.
And sometimes they did, especially at the estimate.
Like, they just didn't really do anything. And I'm like, okay, I can't really put them like, I mean, I don't know how to beat a dead horse here, but like we don't talk about the Cowboys very long, but they didn't do anything. So therefore, like it's a bad free agency class. I'm going to have another team that also didn't do anything.
Yeah. To me, it just depends. Like I said, you can, if for me, free agency, I think you can just not make a lot of moves as long as they're quality small moves. And the Cowboys, like I said, they would have been probably 8 for me. Like right now, I had like wrote down like 6 of the worst ones. They'd probably be around 8, just because like I still like the fact that they actually addressed something they desperately needed, because otherwise, like linebacker was a huge need, especially with Overshown being probably out for the rest of the season, because he got hurt really, really late, and
it was a nasty.
It was a nasty injury. So like I think the only one they had on the roster at that point in time before free agency was the Notre Dame linebacker, I believe. But I don't hate what they're doing. Like I said, I don't understand why you let Rico Dowdle go, but
especially to replace him with Javonte
Williams, that one is also like just like wild to me. But like I said, I don't hate it, but if you consider yourself to be the Cowboys and be constantly vying for we're going to win the Super Bowl, you have to make moves. Especially if you're not like 2017 Saints, 2018 Colts, where you have these monster classes.
2022 Tech or 2023 Texans.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, I did shut that out. But yeah, that I agree. Like I said, I don't really like their moves either. But moving on to my 4 are the Falcons. So the Falcons are my 4. Are they in your top or not? Okay. So I have them about a C-, and it would have been a lot worse if they hadn't gotten Leonard Floyd, mainly because of the fact that I
kind of had different parameters, or not parameters, but I went with the different things for my worst class.
Yeah.
You went with bad deals.
Bad deals.
I kind of went with abstinences. Like you'll see my other kind of 3.
Which is good. Which is good. We have, like I said, like for me with the Falcons, I get you having to get rid of Grady Jarrett, but still not a great move. So, like, he's older. He did get injured. But unless you really, really feel like Rukaroro can be that next guy, and maybe he is, then this works out for you. But, like, without Grady Jarrett, I don't feel very, very confident in your interior. Outside of getting Leonard Floyd, who's still, like, a solid enough defensive end, edge rusher. You got for 1 year, $10 million. You still need edge rusher. So, like, you're going to have to heavily invest in your defensive line, which you already kind of do that in the draft. And you didn't really do that many moves outside of that. I mean, you extended Jake Matthews, which is okay, I guess. Like I said, you're getting some continuity. But then you lost Drew Dalman. I don't understand why you – like, that's the reason why I dropped you down so much more, because I don't understand why you did that. Like, you could have let Grady Jarrett go and then try to re-sign Drew Dalman, who did really well for you. And so you have some continuity with your rookie moving into his second year in the NFL, your QB, and now you're kind of looking at, like, unless you truly believe there's a center like a Jarrett Wilson, or if you feel like Jake Matthews or Jake Majors or whoever it is at center in the draft years, like, oh, we can pair him up with Michael Penix Jr. It's going to work out perfectly, then fine. But having a rookie center and a not really well-experienced quarterback in the NFL, like I said, he has a lot of college experience, but not as much experience in the NFL. Who are you going to have to call protections?
Yeah.
Like, you don't want to have a rookie center calling protections. Like that. That's why
also sophomore year quarterback.
Sophomore year quarterback. That's what I'm saying. I still don't understand it, and that's the reason why I put them down so low. Maybe because, like, they're either not making the right moves or it's just questionable, but it's still understanding. And also, why did you get Jordan Fuller? I mean, you saw him at the Panthers. He was not good. Like, I don't understand why Xavier Woods went to the Titans. I know he's going to be picked up anyways, but, like, he wasn't good. And you saw him twice.
Yeah.
So
I didn't have the Falcons, but they would have been. They're close. They didn't do a lot. Like, obviously, the Drew Dahlman. I think that he was a good center. I don't think he's like this top 5, top 6, 7 center in the NFL. So like I think he is kind of replaceable. But like again, I do get what you're saying with the like continuity stuff. And I would have just liked to keep a good interior offensive line. But Falcons, yeah, they at least address the edge a little bit. I'm fine with leaving Grady Jarrett or like cutting him because he just really hasn't been the same, and he's too expensive to be like kind of just a veteran voice at this point. Like he really has not been productive in the last couple of years. But my 3 is the Bengals because they didn't do anything either. I mean, I know they re-signed Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, which is very bad team building.
Yeah.
They're paying like 56 or something % of their cap space to 3 players.
All on one side of the ball.
Yeah, and if you also throw in like
Orlando
Brown's contract, it's like 60-something %. They're obviously shopping Trey Hendrickson, who was their only good defender last year, or only good front 7 player. They didn't sign like here. I'll read you off their free agent signing: Joseph Asai,
re-signed.
Cam Sample, re-signed. Marco Wilson, they picked him up. BJ Hill, they re-signed. He's okay. He had a bad year last year. TJ Slayton,
from the Packers.
From the Packers. Samaje Perine, re-signed.
Orland Burks, I really do like.
And Orland Burks. I don't love the front 7 moves. Especially when they trade Trey Hendrickson, they're going to have a huge need at defensive end. They have needs at cornerback. You're hoping maybe a new defensive coordinator kind of fix those issues, but they didn't do anything. And I don't love the re-signing of both T. Higgins and Jamar Chase because I don't like allocating like $80 or like $75 million to 2 receivers. Where it's like, okay, we saw last year that you can put up points and you're still going to lose because you're going to let up 1 million points a game.
Yep.
And also, you're banking on
both of them being
you're banking on both of them being healthy, or T. Higgins be healthy, but also you're banking on a quarterback. You're like, okay, well, we're going to win by putting up a bunch of points. When Joe Burrow has won comeback player of the year twice in 4 years, he's not exactly the pinnacle of health, and
stuff has to do with the offensive
and also
line.
You never put a good offensive line in front of him. So I don't like how the Bengals ran the process this offseason. So I think they have to be on my top 5.
Okay. Like I said, I like the fact of like the Orton Burks. And then even though I don't like the money allocated, I still like the fact that you're keeping a portion of your core together.
I don't have a problem with re-signing your guys, but not at the same position.
Yeah. I
obviously you're not letting Chase walk, but like
no.
I would have been fine with you trading Higgins and getting like a 2nd-round pick from the Patriots.
Yeah. And also the fact too is that like this is a really, really deep defensive line class. So like you're hoping that you're able to get a difference maker in the 1st round and then get some good depth, reliable pieces in the day 2, day 3. But that, like I said, you're still hoping for people to pan out. That last year you tried to address it as far as getting Chris Jenkins and McKinley Jackson, and it did not work out. And I was kind of surprised by Chris Jenkins not working out, but
well,
he's still a rookie, so like he's going to sophomore year. But like you were hoping that like, oh well, we let go of DJ Reader, we can't pay him, we'll let him go to the Lions, and then we'll just replace him, and it didn't happen. No. So, since I already said my 3rd,
don't go to your 2.
I know that's the reason why I'm going.
No, go to your 1.
I'm going to my 6. I'm going to my 6.
Well, no, go and do your 1. Well, how about I do my 2 and then
I'll do my 2.
You do your.
There we go. Because I mean, we're basically just saying what my 2 is. Yeah, you go ahead and do your 2. I'll do my 2. You'll do your 1. I'll do my 1.
Well, no, because I want to talk about your 2 and my 1 at the same time.
That's what I'm saying. So you do your 2, I'll do my 2, and then it'll transition into your 1.
Okay. So you want me to start?
Yes, you can. You can go back to back.
I got the Eagles. Not because they like. I don't think it was them like saying, "Oh, we just gonna let these guys go." They didn't have the cap space, but they lost a lot of players. They lost like 6 or 7 starters on defense. I thought that the one thing that was really bad with this offseason was the C.J. Gardner-Johnson trade.
I don't really understand.
Like maybe you can. You're talking like, oh, we can fix Kenyon Green. which has kind of been a theme of these teams we're talking about. Is like they think they can fix them, but I watched Kenyon Green. He's not good, and like
I think he might have mentioned that a time or two.
He's going to turn into an All-Pro, and it's going to kill me, and you're going to never hear the end of it from me. But I don't love the C.J. Gardner-Johnson trade. You obviously lose Josh Sweat. You lost, oh my gosh, the Panthers. Oh, not Panthers, Patriots.
Almost
the Patriots.
Yeah, Milton Williams.
Milton Williams, you lost him. You lost Mekhi Becton.
Mhm.
It just, I don't know, like you cut Darius Slay, James Bradbury. Like, I don't think those are the end of the world. It's just you lost a lot of really good players, and they've drafted really well. So now it's just they're a lot thinner of a roster.
Mhm.
And I think now,
I don't know why he was.
Is that what you were motioning?
Yeah, yes. So for some reason,
accidentally hit my mic.
Yeah. For some reason, his notes was recording what he was saying.
But they're just a lot thinner of a roster now. They didn't add anybody really of note. They're still a really, really good roster. So like, I don't think they're going to be bad by any means. It's just losing the amount of good players that they lost. I have to put them somewhere. Like, because you lost Milton Williams is really good. Josh Sweat is really good. Mekhi Becton was really good last year. C.J. Gardner-Johnson's a really good safety. That's 4 like players that were playing at Pro Bowl / I would say all pro, but like Pro Bowl levels last year. And like you lost some other depth pieces behind those guys too. So it's just like, I don't know. I had to put them on there.
I for me, the reason why I'm not as concerned is because, like I said,
I'm not concerned the Eagles are going to be bad.
But I also believe because of some of the re-signs that they had, like I think that's the more important part as far as like
I love the Zach Bond signing.
Zach Bond signing is absolutely amazing. Being able to extend Saquon to give him the money that he so rightly deserves after what he did last year. Like I said, I think that those are the moves why I'm not as concerned with the Eagles with some of the moves they made, because I think that ultimately they have the players already on the team, or they're going to get them in this upcoming draft is going to replace them. Like I guess them to go in interior defensive line because I'm not the biggest fan of Moreau. I can't remember the guy's name from Texas, but he was a good route a run defender, but he was not the best pass rusher.
In this year's class?
No. I'm talking about like Moro Ojimo or not. I don't remember his name. It's like Ormo, something like that. Anyways, and also you have a really good defensive line, so I think you'll be fine. And then you got Alex Hunt in the third last year to basically be a developmental who looked pretty good in the Super Bowl, who's like, athletic freak of nature. So he'll be able to develop, and he'll be basically the third guy instead. For my 2, it's going to be the Texans. And like I said, I don't think they're the worst, because I'll discuss who my worst is. I know they're your worst. But first of all,
the Texans are my worst, yes.
Love the fact that you're able to trade Kenyon Green for C.J. Gardner-Johnson. I think that's a great move.
The only good move we made.
And you trade for Christian Kirk. Now, here's I think it's a meh, but it's still at least like understandable, where it's basically maybe like, I think, what does he have, 1 more year on his deal, or is it 2 more years?
I think so. 2 more years.
Yeah. So like you're able to trade for him for basically nothing. You're able to get a quality, like I said, not great, but a quality veteran wide receiver that knows how to get open, while you have Tank Dell be able to recover from that nasty injury. Who knows how he's going to come back? Hopefully he's the same as a player, but he's probably not going to be. And the fact that, is somebody that you're familiar with. So I think that's good. And also I like the fact that you re-signed Mario Edwards Jr. and also Derek Barnett. I think those are great signings as well. So that's what kind of like lifts me up from the move that obviously you want to talk about. I'll just kind of reference.
Well,
couple of moves.
Let me say, before we kind of get into the nitty gritty.
Yeah.
The good things that the Texans did this offseason. C.J. Gardner-Johnson trade completes their secondary. It's the player they needed, a strong safety. Really, that's a very good trade. Like Kenyon Green for C.J. Gardner-Johnson, awesome. I like that. I like the Derek Stingley extension. I like you're adding another year to Danielle Hunter. So now you got 2 years on Danielle Hunter, and you got 5 years on Stingley. I thought you got good value for both of those guys. Sheldon Rankins, I like bringing him back as another defensive tackle who didn't have as good of a year last year in Cincinnati, but he was really good last time he was on the Texans. And so I think it's a good re-signing. I think Braxton Berrios is solid as the punt returner. He'll stick on the roster. We needed a punt returner. They invested a lot into special teams players, and I don't have a problem with it. It's like, okay, they're special teams. They want to have a good special teams. Sure. But you used.
Oh, and also the fact too, we got to mention the fact that now you have the highest paid defensive player. You know, hey, well,
also
the not defensive player, the cornerback.
Yeah, so. But the Derek Barnett re-signing was really good. I also like the Darrell Taylor signing at edge. I think they've got a really good 4 rotation of edge. It's like the defense is good. The defense doesn't really have holes instead of like just getting some depth. The Ronald Darby signing was also not bad in my opinion as like a backup corner. He's better than Jeff Okudah was last year. Jeff Okudah was awful.
You're telling me 3rd overall pick Jeff Okudah was not good?
Dude, I don't know how he was bad. Like I thought he was so bust-proof.
I was not convinced.
Okay, sure. Revisionist history.
No, it was no. Like I was also dead set on want Derrick Brown. So like I kind of also downed Isaiah Simmons and Jeff Okudah because so many Panthers fans wanted both of them. I'm like, no, I want Derrick Brown.
But those were all the kind of good things that Texas did. I'll let you start out
with some of the bad
what you wanted to talk about. I know where you were going, but I wanted to get the little good nuggets in because now nothing else is going to be good said on my.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think it's a bad thing that you traded a particular person. It's what you got back and then what you replaced him with. Mainly, I think that Cam Robinson could possibly be subpar. But you're signing you signed him to a bigger contract than I thought you were going to. It's a 1-year deal, so like it's not terrible. But you also got Laken Tomlinson. You also got Trent Brown. And so it's like
don't forget.
Right. I was like no.
Where's Ed?
Yeah. Ed Ingram. There you go. You trade for Ed Ingram. So like I
also didn't mention Christian Kirk trade. I'm fine with too.
Yeah. I the only thing I could possibly think of is like, okay, I can trade this guy that might cause locker room problems and get as much as I possibly can from him, and with the money that I can
we brought back Mario Edwards. I love Mario Edwards.
Well, yeah, that's what I talk about. Yeah,
sign my jersey.
And then I said, I think it's fine, but it's not anything moving me. And it's also like you probably could have gotten a lot more for Laremy Tunsil, but you didn't get like anything. You should have gotten a lot more for this year, considering that more than likely the Commanders are also going to be good next year. And so like that I don't understand. I don't understand why you didn't get more for this year, because a lot more of the picks are going to be for next year, and they could possibly make it back to this NFC Championship game, or at the very least the divisional round. And so you have to really, really hope that for a fact that Blake Fisher is going to develop, and that you can be able to get good offensive line in the draft and be able to develop them. If you feel confident with that and you feel that CJ can hold up, sure. But I have a feeling that you don't feel that way. So without further ado, would you like to reveal why the Texans are the number 1 worst NFL free agency?
Because CJ Stroud is going to be dead on the field by week 6 at the latest.
At the latest.
I think, okay, trading Laremy Tunsil, I get it. I've said many times on this channel that I don't like the way Laremy Tunsil carries himself. I don't think he's a good leader. I don't think he's a good locker room guy. And like, when he didn't come to bat for any of the times for CJ Stroud, when Stroud's like getting hit on the sideline, I hated that. And I've said that. At the same time, I didn't want him traded because we have no one else who can block on this offensive line. You had one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL. Maybe that you were the Patriots. It was a horrendous offensive line last year. And you trade the one guy who is above average at pass blocking. Like CJ Stroud got the last image that we saw of the Texans against the Chiefs was CJ Stroud being unable to walk off the field because he was so hurt.
Yeah.
He was having to get helped off the field because he couldn't walk. That's the last thing we saw from the Texans. And they're like, okay, let's trade the one guy who actually can pass block. I get he has false start problems. I get that he's a locker room problem. And
drive killer.
Yeah, I don't hate the picks we got back either. Like, whatever. Apparently, we did shop him to other teams. Other teams didn't want him. Whatever. Like, you're getting rid of him a year early rather than a year late. I'm just like, we didn't do anything else to fix this offensive line. You signed a bunch of bad offensive line players. So the offensive line, like Ed Ingram, terrible. Like, you're like, oh, well, we got rid of Shaq Mason and Kenyon Green, and you replaced them with Shaq Mason and Kenyon Green. You got Ed Ingram is the new Kenyon Green. Laken Tomlinson is the new Shaq Mason.
And also,
they're terrible.
Why didn't you
we didn't even try and get any of the other.
The other thing that I don't understand is like there were either trades for older veterans that are a lot better, or you could have done it. You could have probably been able to trade Larry Tunsil earlier and be able to actually go after some of the other free agent guards or tackles that are either, they're actually okay instead of basically getting bottom of the barrel.
Because now what you're going to be looking at is you signed all the guards you signed. Like Trent Brown's also not good. Like Cam Robinson, he was solid on the Jaguars last year, and then he got traded, and he was the worst tackle in football when he got traded to Minnesota. He was like the highest pressure rate in football when he got to Minnesota. I don't know if that's scheme, whatever, but he was on Jacksonville. I've watched Cam Robinson for way too many years as a Texas fan to know it. He's not that good. I also watched him at Alabama. He was good at Alabama, but
didn't translate.
I don't know right now. If you gave me like gun to my head, I would say offensive line looks like Cam Robinson at left tackle, Titus Howard at left guard, Juice Scruggs at center, Kilme at right guard, and Blake Fisher at right tackle.
Yeah,
like that's like it. And really, like the one spot you're going to look at if that's the offensive line, which I would assume that's probably what it looks like with signing Cam Robinson, I don't think you're signing him to play guard. And Titus Howard played left guard last year. You're looking at signing a right guard. I'm sorry, a rookie guard isn't fixing this.
No.
Like, it's just you're banking on. As much as I love Nick Caserio and I love how good of a drafter he's been, he cannot draft offensive linemen. He can't. He has been completely inept at drafting offensive linemen. And it's not for lack of trying. He's tried. He's drafted a bunch of guys in the top 100. He's had like 3 or 4 guys in the top 100. None of them have hit. It's just
we're still out on Blake Fisher, but yeah.
Blake Fisher, TBD. He was not good last year as a pass blocker. Juice Scruggs has not been good. He's kind of better at guard than he was at center, but he wasn't good at guard either.
Jarrett Patterson.
Jarrett Patterson was a 5th-round pick who's like, whatever. Like, he's kind of the actually hit that he has. But it's just like, I don't like, because you're banking on, okay, we're going to have to draft. You're banking on 3 things. You're like, okay, we fired our offensive line coach who was terrible. Mm-hmm. Sure, that's great. But you promoted your assistant offensive line coach for an offensive line that was horrible last year, who's been coached by Strasser, who was horrible. So you're banking on, okay, maybe it was just the offensive line coach, not the assistant offensive line. I don't understand not hiring from outside, but you're banking on the offensive line coach, first-timer, being good. You're banking on offensive coordinator, Nick Haley. I like Nick Haley. I think he's going to be good, but you're banking on him being really good from the jump, especially with protections and keeping his quarterback correct, like and upright. The third thing you're banking on is you're banking on Nick Caserio drafting a really good guard in the first round. you're banking on like that the guard's going to be good, which rookie guards rarely are, especially late first round, and that Nick Caserio can actually draft an offensive lineman correctly, which he hasn't proven to do. This is not me calling for Nick Caserio's head or anything. He's a great general manager in pretty much every other aspect. He's mismanaged the offensive line to the nth degree. It's just, I don't know. I don't have much more. The offensive line is going to be terrible this year, and that's why it got worse. You came into the offseason. The reason this is a bad offseason for me for the Texans is you came into the offseason knowing you had one huge, huge, huge hole. You knew the offensive line was a gigantic hole. And not only did you not do anything to really fix it, you got actively worse. Which is, I don't know how you did it, but you did. And and it's also not, you can't just go into the draft and we're just going to draft only offensive line. You have still holes. You need another receiver. It's Nick, I like Christian Kirk, but it's really Nico Collins out there. Christian Kirk can be a solid 3. You need another receiver.
Oh, don't forget about Dalton Schultz.
Kill me.
I know how much you love Dalton Schultz.
I hate Dalton Schultz. You could use another tight end. You could use another defensive tackle, especially a big nose defensive tackle. It's not like you only have a hole at offensive line. You have other big holes that you need to fill. I just think it's a bad process. But let's just go into your first overall pick. I'm tired of talking about the Texans.
First overall pick. Yeah.
Your first overall.
Yeah. So the first overall.
I'm stay here for a minute.
For the free agency is going to be for me the 49ers. Mainly because you lost so many people, but you were not able to retain any really good ones, in my opinion. And some of the people that you were able to sign, I'm not particularly high on. Obviously, it's understandable to trade Deebo Samuel. I'm not going to as a buffer as it is instead of being a negative or positive. I think obviously if Deebo was healthy, if Deebo was as good as he has been in the past, then this would hurt a lot more. But the writing was on the wall last year. I mean, that's the reason why you get Ricky Pearsall, because there's a lot up in the air about what you're going to do with Brandon Ayuk, what you're going to do with Deebo Samuel. Obviously, Ayuk is coming back off an injury, and you have Juwan Jennings. So I think if Ayuk comes back healthy, I think you have a decent top 3.
Mm-hmm.
But you sign Demarcus Robinson, which is not terrible. I still like that, and you get Mac Jones. But outside of that, all you did was free up cap space because you lost Juszczyk, you lost Javon Hargrave, Malik Collins, Leonard Floyd, and Deebo. Like I said, all those players that are important pieces of your team gone. Now, some of them you're able to replace, which is fine, but it's still this reminder that your Super Bowl window was probably gone unless you're able to hit out of the park in this draft class. This is the only way. The only way that you're able to move forward is that if you're able to build through the draft, because you're about to have to pay Brock Purdy. Don't know how much you're going to pay him. George Kittle's a free agent after this season. Honestly, if you look at the tight end class, the potential free agent class for next year is crazy.
Kittle will probably get re-signed.
Kittle will probably be re-signed, but I'm just saying that's another big contract that you have to account for.
Trent Williams is going to retire.
Trent Williams is going to retire, so then you have to be able to find his replacement, and technically his replacement is now on the Chiefs with Jalen Moore. So are you going to go tackle in the first round? Well, you haven't really done that, so I don't expect you to do so. And you have other needs on your defense that you're probably going to try to address with that first round pick. So, overall, the reason why they're my worst ones is because of all the talent that you lost, you're not able to replace it, and the fact that looming contract is coming above your head, and I don't know if you're going to continue to be able to keep this open. Like I said, unless you have a good draft. Now, if they have a good draft, I might raise this up a little bit. So, I know this is kind of it's not necessarily tacky, but it's just I am not convinced your team is going to be moving in the right direction. In fact, you were 11th. You were the 11th best team, I guess 11 the worst team, and the fact that you've got significantly worse. The Rams are still good. Seahawks are up in the air, and the Cardinals are better than you. Like I don't see you moving. I don't see you be able to move in the right direction unless you hit in the draft. And that's the reason why you're going to be my worst as far as free agency, because of the fact that of all the, like I said, all the talent you lost. So
yeah, I don't have a problem with that. I mean, I probably should have put the 49ers. I looking back at it, I probably would have replaced the Eagles maybe, even though I still think the Eagles had a bad offseason. But, like, 49ers are just lost so much. Their window is closed. I mean, even if they hit, they have so many holes in this roster now on secondary and up front. You got to fit, like, you have, like, 2 good offensive linemen right now.
And that's it.
Yeah, and, like, one of them is going to be probably gone next year. Like, you don't know what Ayuk's going to look like coming off the injury. You want to see more from Pearsall. Christian McCaffrey, he's older and he's injury prone, and it's just you're going to have to pay Brock Purdy, who's good, but he's not going to be worth $50 million.
Or heck, even Dak money.
Like, it's just if you're not in a good spot.
No.
There was like the couple things like, oh, Shanahan could be gone, like traded or something. Like, I don't know. I don't know what the 49ers are going to look like in 2 years. I don't really envy being the general manager. I don't really envy being John Lynch right now. But yeah, 49ers not great. Now let's go on to the best.
Yes.
I did 4. We'll be a little bit quicker with these than we were with the worst, because we don't know. We're kind of rambling a little bit on the worst ones.
Well, the worst ones are they're
the worst.
They're the worst for a reason.
So my 4 is the Arizona Cardinals.
Okay.
So the Cardinals, I thought, had a very. Let me pull up everything they did. They got Josh Sweat. Obviously, they got Dalvin Tomlinson.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Let's pull it up. Yeah, Josh Sweat, Akeem Davis Gaither, Jacoby Brissett, Dalvin Tomlinson. I like Brandon. I like the Brandon Browning re-signing.
I like that one too.
But like mainly they're up here. LJ Collier and Zay Jones, meh. I love them getting Josh Sweat, and I love them getting Dalvin Tomlinson.
Mm-hmm.
They needed to get better in the front, and they did. And they didn't like. I know they paid those two they paid Josh Sweat a lot of money, but it's not like I'm not like, oh, they just completely screwed themselves with some of these contracts. Like, they didn't hand out like 10 big contracts. They handed out one big contract and then a bunch of other medium-sized contracts. And I just think this team is on the rise. They fixed. So now it's not like they have to go into the draft to get a front seven player. Yeah. I just think they opened up themselves to more than just, oh, we got to take edge. Like that's why I have the Cardinals this high, is just I liked the way that they went about their free agency process.
I like that too. I didn't have them in my top 7. Like I said, I made 7 just in case. And also the fact that I think that.
Also, I will say that mine is not going to all just be like, oh, these people made the biggest splash signings.
Yeah, because I think we could talk about one in particular. I do think that sometimes they'll get overblown, and this is also not the best free agent class. No, so I think that's also indicative. Sorry, of this is a great class. My number 5. Did you say number 4?
I said number 4, so you do number 5.
Okay, so my number 5. Because
I know your 6 is, and I'm going to get to your 6.
Okay, so my number 5 is going to be the Commanders. I have them as A-. So what I love about this class is also we already talked about the trade for Larry Tunsil that obviously impacts your offensive line that played admirably, under Cliff Kingsbury's system, and also trading for Deebo Samuel. Like I said, that's having Deebo Samuel and Terry McLaurin. I think that's a good 1-2 punch, especially with you re-signing Zach Ertz, who had a really good season for them last year, and also love re-signing Bobby Wagner as well. Because you're able to keep that leadership in the locker room while also being enforcer in that middle of the defense, along with Frankie Louvu. And I kind of like the Will Harris one. The Will Harris of free safety signing for me. I like that one too. I don't. The reason why they're a little bit lower is I don't understand the Javon Kinlaw contract. I mean, you released Jonathan Allen because obviously, like, he wanted to leave. That's fine.
Sure.
But then you basically paid Javon Kinlaw, Jonathan Allen money. And I don't understand giving Javon Kinlaw 3-year, $45 million. I know technically the money's not like that.
He was not good last year.
No, and like I guess it's just Adam Peters saying, I saw this guy, I like this guy, I want this guy, I know I can fix this guy. But I'm a little confused by that one.
Yeah. I liked what the Commanders did. I'm not as high on the Laremy Tunsil deal just because I've watched Laremy Tunsil. I know that he's an upgrade at left tackle. Their offensive line played well above what they should be. He's definitely a good pass blocker. We'll see how he fits with the culture there. I'm just not the biggest Laremy Tunsil fan. I went into my whole rant about it.
Yeah.
Deebo Samuel is good. Good trade. Like, you didn't really give up much, but I don't really know how much juice Deebo Samuel has left. It's kind of a good gadget play that they have there, though.
Yeah.
I like the Zach Ertz re-signing. I didn't love the Javon Hargrave signing. That was just I don't understand that one. He was not good for the 49ers last year.
No.
But Commanders were solid. I think that they've, as much as I didn't love as much of their signings, they still did improve in the offseason. So I have no problem with them being at your 5. My 3, I would probably is your 1, if I had to guess.
No, they're my 3.
Yeah, your 3. Okay, so we have this one. Is it the Chicago Bears?
Yeah.
The Bears had one thing that they needed to do going into this offseason, and they did it about as well as you could possibly do.
Yes.
Like, I don't really think there was a way that they could have gotten any better on their interior offensive line than how they did it. I didn't even know Joe Thuney was on the trade block. Neither did really anybody else, apparently. Trading a, 6th round pick for Joe Thuney,
for someone who's got at least another 2 good years left.
Like, he's probably got 2 good all-pro years and then, another good solid year, and then before he probably hits the cliff. Like, you're going to get some good quality before you're going to have him being good until Caleb Williams really starts to hit his prime.
Plus, you can also draft a guard to learn from him, which is incredible.
You got him for a 6th. You got Jonah Jackson for also a 6th. Who Jonah Jackson wasn't as good as he was last year. He's still a good guard. He just got kind of hurt last year. Mm-hmm. Then you got Drew Dahlman we already mentioned him. Hey, he was the best center on the market. I don't think he's the best center in the world, but he's going to be playing next to 2 very good guards, and he's going to look like a really good center next to those 2 guards. Mm-hmm. And he's going to look a hell of a lot better than whatever they had last year in the interior of Chicago.
Something Shelton?
Yeah.
Coleman Shelton.
So now their offensive line kind of is complete. I mean, I think they could look to upgrade at left tackle, but
you don't have to because
they have a really good interior offensive line now. I like Darnell Wright. They're going to be able to run the ball, which is what Ben Johnson's going to want to do. Look out for Ashton Genty at 10. But now it's
Amari Hampton.
They also they got Deo Odubingo. Neither of us can pronounce his name.
Yeah,
but it's they didn't do as much note outside the interior offensive line, but it's they can go best player available now at 10. And they can still, I still think if Ashton Genty's there, I think you take him.
Honestly, I would not be surprised if for some reason Ashton Genty is us at 8, that they would make just a slight little move just to make sure you get him.
But it's you're surrounding Caleb Williams with the best possible scenario, the best supporting cast that you can.
Yep.
And for me, that's really what you needed to do going into the offseason because he is the future of your franchise.
Yeah. Well, this actually works out really well since you did my 3. I can do my 4. So my 4 were the Rams, A-. Now, I gave the Bears an A, just like regular A. Gave the Rams an A-, mainly because I love the re-signings that they did, and also I really love the two major signings that they also did. So they re-signed Tutu Atwell, gives them that deep threat. Like I said, Tutu Atwell really came into his own last couple of seasons. Larry Jackson, like I said, 3 years, $57 million, getting less money but doing a better job than Dan Moore. Referencing that again, and also Matthew Stafford. Like I said, you retain Matthew Stafford for at least 2 years. You have Puka Nacua, who's going to be after that 2 years going to get paid. So like once you move on from Matthew Stafford, you're able to basically use that money to be able to get Puka paid. Like I said, I think that's going to work out for them, and they'll start to kind of look for that basically that replacement eventually, either in this draft or in the next draft. Try to find the replacement for Matthew Stafford. But I really, really love the additions of Devontae Adams and Poona Ford. I loved Poona Ford. I wanted him to come to the Panthers, but I was not paying him 3 years, $30 million. But he's still really stinking good. Like he had an amazing year for the Chargers. I think that's great for your defensive line, especially for the fact that you lost Bobby Brown and you're replacing him with Poona Ford. I think it's perfectly fine. Like I said, that defensive line is absolutely crazy, and now you have veteran presence. I think that's going to be great for the Rams. And then Devontae Adams, you replace Cooper Kupp with a healthier Cooper Kupp. Like I said, like someone who can get open, someone who's a great blocker, someone who you can move around. And having him as your number 2 to Puka Nacua, I think a lot of people are like downplaying Devontae Adams. I've heard a lot of people just like, oh, well, he's kind of like lost a step. No, he's not. He's still like
he's not 2020 Devontae Adams.
No,
he's still super good.
That's what I'm saying. Like I think people either have like the super duper high expectations of him, or like they just like see his age and like, oh, he can't do anything anymore. No,
he's still one of the best route runners, and he can separate.
Exactly. It's like him and Puka Nacua are still going to work, or we're going to work your quarterbacks, and you better be prepared because I really do believe
they also needed an X receiver. They needed a guy to go on the outside because they put Puka in motion so much. They really needed like an outside receiver.
Yeah.
Not as good of an outside receiver as you're going to find on the open market. So.
And especially in this draft, like I said, I wouldn't think that they would go in the draft anyways, but like you're able to not have to worry about wide receiver for at least the next 2 years because like Tutu Atwell, like says a 1-year deal. And you lost to Marcus Robinson, but like I think you're still fine, and you got Matthew Stafford. So like I honestly, like I said, that's the reason why I have the Rams at 4 because love the re-signings, and you're not making too many moves, but you're making 2 really, really, really solid moves to try to keep your playoff aspirations alive, and hopefully be able to make a run. So who is your 2?
My 2 is the Denver Broncos.
They're my 6.
So the Denver Broncos, I love the Evan Ingram signing.
I do.
Because we all knew that they needed a tight end. Sean Payton loves his tight ends. Evan Ingram, he's got hurt last year, but I still think he was the best free agent tight end on the market pretty handily, but he's still going to be a good weapon for Bo Nix. The Dre Greenlaw signing, this defense is going to be so good. You didn't like the Dre Greenlaw?
No. I'll explain my reasoning for putting him at 6.
Okay. I like the Dre Greenlaw signing. The Talanoa Hufanga deal. He's been hurt recently, but he is the type of safety they needed, like this just kind of heat-seeking missile, really good around the ball, just like good tackler. I like the DJ Jones. They re-signed him. Like, they went very heavy on defense outside of Evan Ingram, but like they got 3. They re-signed DJ Jones, and they got 2 high-quality starters on their defense. And like now this defense is like, where's the hole? This is going to be one of the best defenses we've seen in a while.
If they can stay healthy.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason why I've put them down a little bit. Mainly because, like, look, I love DJ Jones. Wanted him also as a Panthers, but it's fine. Also, I love the Evan Ingram pick. The Dre Greenlaw, you're hoping that he's back to normal. Like I said, I think he's good. Like I said, the 49ers
hole last year was
linebacker. And the 49ers like shut him down even though he was playing well. Like they just wanted to make sure that he was okay. I'm still a little confused by the Hufanga pick, mainly because of the fact that you already have Brandon Jones. So you already have that, like you said, that hard-hitting safety. Why didn't you get like Javon Holland for the same exact amount of money? Like Javon Holland did not get as much money as I thought he was going to. You could have put him next to his former teammate and Brandon Jones with your former defensive backs coach from Miami and have that synergy as well and work better in the Broncos back end. Like I said, I don't hate Buffon.
Maybe he just didn't want to go to Denver.
Maybe, but he wants to go to New York.
Yeah, he really likes the Big Apple, man.
Maybe he does. Maybe he loves that Texas. But what I'm just saying is like, I don't hate it. And like
Colorado
I said,
taxes aren't much better.
Huh?
Colorado taxes.
No. But I would much rather live in Denver than live in basically Jersey.
Dude, you can't breathe going upstairs.
just like
I mean, we both have that problem already. So
get winded. But like, it's that reason of the injuries that I'm kind of concerned about. I think that a lot of people are like very high on this free agent class, and I am too. Like the reason why they're my sixth pick. But the injuries is what's really concerning to me because like I could really see this backfiring if both of them are not healthy, and then you've lost unless like in the draft you're able to help get yourself a little more depth. There's a chance that these two players could get injured again in this year and it not work out as well as you're hoping. But like I said,
the guarantees aren't massive.
No, but like I said, I really do like both those moves. If they're healthy, there's an amazing defense to have with Bo Nix, and you can focus solely on your offense in the draft.
Yeah,
not solely, but first couple picks.
Your defense is pretty filled out now.
Yeah,
you had one of the best offensive lines in football last year. Really, the holes you need to fix are running back and wide receiver.
Yeah.
Like, I can still see them taking another tight end, like in second, third round. Like, but you can take like just a wide receiver, like Luther Burden.
If they get
awesome.
If they get Matthew Golden,
get a good wide receiver,
and
get a good running back, and you're gonna have a really good team.
Yeah.
A team that can challenge the Chiefs, because I think this could be the down year for the Chiefs.
And also you would have the defense to be able to back it up.
Who have you mentioned your two yet?
No.
Okay,
and
so
then
go ahead and
then we both have the same.
Yeah, so go ahead and do your two.
So my two are the Patriots with an A. So I'm a lot higher on Carlton Davis than some other people are. And also I know that some of them are a little bit overpaid. Like I said, I think Robert Spillane's a little bit overpaid, but it still makes sense why they go after him. I definitely believe that Milton Williams is a little bit overpaid, but I think that's still a great signing. And
talking about the one overpay that's definitely an overpay on them.
I'm going to. So, but I say the ones that I do love. Like I said, I like you getting Milton Williams. I love you getting Carlton Davis. Like I said, Carlton Davis and Gonzalez is going to be a really, really, really great duo together. Robert Spillane,
Milton Williams fits that good next to Christian Barmore.
Exactly. So like that's a really, like I say, you basically helped out your back end and you helped out your front seven with those two moves. Robert Spillane is a really, really good tackler. Is he good in coverage? Absolutely not, but I don't care. Like I said, if you're looking for somebody that is going to, in the mind of a Mike Vrabel, hit you in the mouth and continue to do so, that's what Robert Spillane's going to do. Yeah. So like, I think that's good. And then Matt Collins, like I said, you didn't get him from that much. Like I said, I think he's okay. And the fact that you don't really have that many weapons as it is, so you might as well get something. I think that's fine. But I don't understand the contract for Morgan Moses. Like I said, you gave him a 3-year deal. Now, obviously, like, you have some outs in there, but still, Morgan Moses is good. Okay. But he's also up there in age. And I would not be super duper confident he can continue to stay healthy. And then also the Harold Landry. I wanted to drop the Patriots a lot more because of the money that's being thrown around. And I don't think it's as bad as what
was the deal? 3 years, like 45?
43.5, yes. And like I said, the way money works with some of the contracts, like I said, it's not exactly like that. But just the look of it does not look appetizing at all. Like I said, I understand Harold Landry, Mike Vrabel, they worked together for a long time for the Tennessee Titans, but like it's still way more of an overpay that I can just be like, oh no, I'm fine with that. Like Carlton Davis getting paid that much, okay, I can understand that. Robert Spillane getting paid that much, okay, I can understand that. Milton Williams, a little bit too much for my blood, and like the reason why I was okay that we didn't end up getting him. Like I said, I think Milton Williams is a really, really good pass rushing defensive end that you put next to Christian Barmore. Is he good in run defense? Absolutely not. But if you're looking for someone to get into your pressure, then that's absolutely amazing for you. And I think that's going to work out for the Patriots because you have him in Barmore. But
he's the next Aaron Donald.
He is the next. I want to say Javon Hargrave, but that's kind of that way too. I think that because the fact this free agent class isn't as good as it has been in the past, some people have been like gravitating to like he did really good in the Super Bowl. He did really good in this time. I'm like, who's he also around? Like I think that definitely helps you, and I think that Barmore's a great defensive player too. So him coming back is going to help too. But I do think it's a little bit of overpay.
I think they have a little bit much to Milton Williams, but he's still really good.
Yeah.
And they're going to have a really good interior pressure duo. Robert Spillane, solid linebacker. I love the Carlton Davis signing.
Yes.
That's a big loss for the Lions and a big get there for the Patriots. Like now they can have a pretty solid secondary. The Harold Landry is what kept me from putting the Patriots in my top 5.
Yeah.
Harold Landry was like the worst pass rusher last year. He could not get pressure if my grandma was the offensive tackle.
And you had good defensive tackle play. That's what I don't understand.
He had no juice. Yeah. And I get he's a Vrabel guy. He's a solid run defender. He's not like this elite run defender. He's a solid run defender. He had no juice as a pass rusher last year. None. And maybe he turns it around back in like a Mike Vrabel scheme that he was good in the past, but I don't like giving like $12.5 million a year or like $13 million a year to a guy that really should not be paid like that and is not even like a top 40 edge rusher right now.
Like I said, it would make a lot of sense.
I would have much rather them taking all the money and then throwing it all at Josh Sweat.
Oh gosh, if you got Milton Williams and Josh Sweat, that would be crazy. Like I said,
no run defense. But
it can make sense if for some reason Abdul Carter falls to you at 4, and you can take Abdul Carter and have him and Harold Landry together. Then I think that gives you the juice while also being a good run defender, and that. Hopefully that balances out. But like I just
you can't take Abdul Carter. You need offensive line.
I know. I'm saying like their left tackle is absolutely atrocious. I would not be surprised if they went left tackle. If they went Will Campbell at 4. I kind of hope that they do.
They should.
But I think because the fact that like everything else I was so happy with, I was willing to be like, okay, maybe it works out for you because it like establishes a culture that you want, because that's what Vrabel has been harping on, is that like, and also some of the players were also talking about the fact that certain things were being allowed to happen that were never allowed to happen before under Jerome Mayo. Like I said, some of the stuff we're not going to be privy to. We don't have the kind of access that other people do, but from the words of the mouth from some of the players, it was not good. It was not like this environment of like, all right, we're going to do what we're supposed to do. We're going to, everybody has accountability. And so like you bringing in your guys makes a lot of sense for Mike Vrabel, that this is your team. Mm-hmm. You made your money from the Patriots. You made your money also as a coach from the Titans, but then they kind of backstabbed you. So you bring in the people that you can trust and let them do your bidding. So basically, I understand it, but it's a lot of money.
Okay, now we're going to go to both our teams.
Yeah.
We're going to go both our number 1 is the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah.
I thought they just had a really good all around. Like a lot of these teams we talked on have hit on one side of the ball really heavy, and maybe that's the Broncos or the Patriots or like the Bear, like all these teams kind of hit really hard on one side of the ball. I thought that the Vikings did a really good job on both sides of the ball.
Not only retaining, but also adding.
So the Broncos, I'll go through their Vikings. Main or Vikings. So Will Fries was kind of the big offensive signing that they got.
Mhm.
They really needed him. He was the best free agent guard in my opinion. I'm not including I'm
Yeah.
not including Joe Tooney in that because he's not a free agent guard. But like the best free agent guard. I know they played 5 games last year, but he was so good in those 5 games. And it's a lot of money, but like it was a 5-year deal. I think like $80 million.
88, yes.
88. It's a lot of money, but he was good. Ryan Kelly, not as good as he used to be, but he's an upgrade over Garrett Bradbury.
And plus, you're putting him next to Will.
Yeah, like you have the continuity there of those
Yeah.
two guys. Ryan Kelly still is an upgrade. Their interior offensive line was bad last year, and they did improve. I like those signings. The Jordan Mason is really they re-signed obviously Aaron Jones.
Mhm.
They need to do that, but then getting Jordan Mason, that's an awesome backup running back.
Yes, especially in the Kevin O'Connell system.
Yeah, that is awesome. That fits next to Aaron Jones. That's a really good backup running back that you got for basically nothing.
Yeah,
and then on the offensive
Isaiah
side,
Rodgers.
Isaiah Rodgers is good. They re-signed Byron Murphy Jr., who they really need to do that because their secondary is not awesome. But they got him back. They obviously got Jonathan Allen, who not as good as he used to be, but he still can be a good interior passer. They got the 2 interior passers they got were Javon Hargrave and Jonathan Allen.
And in Brian Flores' scheme, I think they'll wreak havoc because of the fact that you have Ivan Pace Jr., who's by far the best blitzing linebacker that I've seen in a very long time. Like wrecking havoc up in the front too. So like
their front 7 is really good and really deep now. I think the Javon Hargrave and Jonathan Allen signings keep them from having to make. I mean, they're going to blitz a crap ton, but like you can get some really good interior pressure now with the edge rushers you already had in Andrew Van Ginkel, Jonathan Grenard. You drafted Dallas Turner last year. You hope he develops. You've got some solid linebackers. Like it's a good front 7 now. You can draft some secondary players there. You fixed up your interior offensive line kind of the best you could. I love the Will Fry signing. You're going to hope that you can get some more health on the offensive line. Like your tackles were good when they're healthy.
Yeah.
You've got some of the best playmakers. I mean, your core of like wide receiver, tight end is not
up
really.
there.
It's hard to say there's anybody better from like you got maybe the best wide receiver in football, and you've got like a top 6 tight end in football.
Yep.
When he's healthy, and then you've got a really good number 2 in Jordan Addison,
and then a pretty decent number 3.
Yeah, it's just and you got a good running game. JJ McCarthy, we'll see. He's got everything he needs to succeed.
Literally, and I think that's the reason why both of us put him at number 1. It's just the fact you are almost forcing him to be the guy.
I liked what they did with the Sam Darnold. They're like, okay, we're going to take the Sam Darnold money and we're going to put it into other areas of the roster to make sure that our first-round pick quarterback that we drafted last year has everything. He has no excuses.
He literally has what he had at Michigan, which is an amazing roster around him. And that's what we both preface.
You're able to lean on the run game.
Yes.
Take the shots you want to Jay Jettis and the other wide receivers.
And he does not have to be the difference maker.
And have a good defense.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. I really love this move, like I said, not only for the Vikings, but also just for JJ McCarthy, mainly because of the fact that, like I said, I didn't feel super confident with him, but I knew that of the rumors, if he was able to go to the Vikings, that would be the best place for him. And it's been proven true and true again.
Because that a year, which he really needed.
Yes, he did. And also, I think Kevin O'Connell is a good offensive coach.
Kevin O'Connell's a great coach.
And I like I said, I obviously I don't think not yet to the Sean McVay, but if he starts to put things together and they don't absolutely, flame out in the playoffs, he could establish himself as the new guy.
Yeah.
He hasn't been able to just yet, but if JJ McCarthy works out with the amazing roster they have, I think their GM is really good as well. I think there's a chance that the Vikings could potentially avenge the loss this past year and even beat the Lions. Even though the Lions are really good.
It's going to be hard for me to say. I can't pick them to win the division because I don't know what I'm getting from JJ McCarthy.
Yeah.
But, man, that roster, it's making me hard not to – we'll see what happens in the draft.
We still don't know yet as far as, how are these new coaches. Yeah, I was like, how are these new coaches going to be for the Lions?
The Packers, it's like, okay, I don't know of their receiving core, and then the
Honestly,
Bears is
dude.
first.
The NFC North
great.
is so great, dude. It's
Man,
so
only if our divisions weren't as bad.
I know. Honestly, keep it that way. Keep it that way.
I'm glad I don't have to deal with that in our division. I'm just saying, man, imagine if we actually had good teams in our division.
Yeah,
Like,
imagine we didn't have. Shout out to the Jaguars for just signing people.
Love it.
Like, okay, that's the other thing too. I know it's kind of like just almost like kind of going down, but Jaguars, I don't know what they're gonna do in the draft anymore because like obviously for so long it was bulky, so we just knew okay.
Michael Williams, welcome on down.
Yeah, welcome down. But now it's just like I don't know.
They got like my little brother calling.
They got 34-year-old, whatever his name is. Like I said,
youth movement.
It is a youth movement. It's Liam Cohen who's like Duval.
They're getting rid of all the old people, ageists.
Well, they have to get rid of all the old people because all the old people are moving to But this was a great episode. Like I said, I'm interested to see how some of these free agent moves are going to be because obviously free agency is very finicky, and you can find some really great moves that nobody was talking about, and there's some people that were like, "Oh, this is going to be amazing for them." Absolutely flounders. Yeah. So like you never really know. Same thing with the draft, but like this is our opinions, and honestly, with about a month left of this draft, a little bit of a month of this draft, this is going to be a very, very interesting. I think there's going to be a couple of wild trades.
I don't know what is going to happen in this draft because there's not good quarterback. But next week we're going to come. I'm making the decision. We're going to do NFC draft needs. We're going to go through all 16 teams in the NFC, give their updated draft needs post free agency. We'll get like 3 or 4. And then the next week will be AFC, and then we'll have our final 2-round mock draft with trades, and then it's draft week, and we'll be streaming that. So
like for the draft needs, are we going to do like our feel like our best fits as far as like?
No, we're not going to do. We're just going to give the needs.
Just give that.
We'll sell it off. But we'll just be going through the team needs, discussing that a little bit. All 16 teams in the NFC, and then it'll be AFC draft, and then draft time. So, but thank y'all for watching this episode, and I'll see y'all on the next one.
Bye.